Hey everybody, Kyle Sasser here, Ashler Home Team, the way real estate should be, and it's everyone's favorite time of the month. That's right, market statistics time. These stats are for Dayton, Ohio for June 2023. Now you might be asking yourself, we're in July, why are we looking at June numbers? Can't we look at July numbers? And the answer is we do need a full month to make a reasonable comparison. So we compare June 2023 numbers to June 2022 numbers. And the reason why we do that, instead of comparing to, say, May 2023 numbers, is because the real estate cycle has a natural ebb and flow throughout the calendar year. If it gets really cold, or the weather's really bad, or school is about to let out, or school is about to open, the number of homes that sell tends to go down. By comparing year over year, we can remove some of that typical annual cycle. Now, I do pay attention to month, definitely more so now than previous years, because the market has basically been wild for the last 2 years. Now, everybody knows that home prices have skyrocketed, and the peak was basically May, June, July of 2022. After that, we had 6 months of quiet, which was an excellent time to buy a house. I cannot tell you how good of a time it was to buy a house. And basically what's happened is March 2023, the number of new listings dropped and the number of buyers came back. And so prices have started to come up again. And that's basically been the trend for the last 3 months or so. But that's basically why we compare June 2023 to June 2022 in the report and not to May 2022. If you remember back to your math class back in the day, you have median and average. Average, that's the one everybody knows. Let's say you have 5 houses, you add up what those 5 houses sold for and then divide it by 5, that gives you the average home price. Median home price is a little different though. So median, what that is the midpoint where there's an equal number of homes for sale for more money as there are houses that are for sale for less than that point. It's more of the true midpoint of the market. Average sales price can be swung significantly if there's a significant number of very expensive or very inexpensive homes that have sold. Nowadays, it is definitely more of the very expensive side, more so than the very inexpensive side, as we will see. So for example, if a few $13 million homes sell in a particular month, that can really move the average sales price, whereas the median price does not move that much comparatively. Alrighty, so these statistics are for the Dayton Metro area. So this is going to be residential property. Total number of closed sales was down 17.9% from 1,652 to 1,356. Median sales price was up 6.8% from $220,000 to $235,000. Average sales price was up 5.1% from $254,162 to $267,048. Dollar volume, which is basically you add up everything that was sold, was down 13.6% from $419 million to $362 million. Median percent of original list price was down 0.5% from 100.5% last year to 100%. Median time to contracts basically held steady, 41 days. And total number of new listings was down 25.9%, total of 1,562. And active inventory was at 1,108. Total number of foreclosures was down 22.2%, total of 7. And short sales were down 88.9% to a total of 1. Now, I do want to touch on that median sales price a little bit just to kind of show you the trajectory that we have been on for the last year. So that's what the chart's doing. And you can follow along on this chart, by the way. There's a link below where you can download this to come along. So June, July 2022 was the peak. June 2022 was at 220,000 median sales price. July was at 221,000. August, it dropped to 205,000. So it dropped $15,000 in 1 month. Our low was in January 2023 at $189,950. And we have slowly been incrementing up. April was at $219,577. That's really when the momentum kind of kicked in. And June, we're at $235,000 again. So we are currently at a new high historically for median sales price of homes. So we are even above the June, July 2022 peak by about $15,000. Meanwhile, we are selling fewer houses. So June, July, we were at 1,652. And this June, we were at 1,356. So we're about 300 houses less, or I think that's about a fifth. So what that kind of, I think that's what that math works out to. Now, the reason I don't look at closed sales month to month is obviously nobody's wanting to buy a house in January or February here. It is extremely hard. It's funny, it's actually kind of a two-piece thing. So it's hard to get people to list homes for sale in the wintertime. And it is also hard to get people out looking at homes to buy in the wintertime for obvious reasons. But it's just interesting that both of those change at about the same rate. Now, I do like to look at the various price points because $1 million house does sell a little bit different time frame than a $200,000 house. Primary reason why is the buyer pool. There's just not as many buyers in that $1 million plus range. So it is important to kind of take a look at those. Remember, these are all residential properties. So this is single family homes. This is condos, townhomes, mobile homes, cabins, all sorts of homes. Under 50,000, there was 30 homes sold, which was a drop of 28.6%. 100,000 to 150,000 was down 29.2%, total of 167. 150 to 200,000 was down 22.9%, total of 243. 200 to 250 was down 16%, total of 179. 250 to 300,000 was down 11.2 to 182. 300 to 400,000 was down 14.6%, a total of 234, so on and so forth. The interesting one is, so 400 to 600 was down 8.9%, total of 153. 600 to a million was up 7.8% to 55. What I chalk that little bump up to is the fact that a lot of houses have kind of moved up into a different price brackets because there wasn't as many of those a few years ago. So everything's kind of shifted up. Basically anything below that tracks relatively steady. Now, so far as new listings, again, we are basically down across the board with the exception of $1 million or more. So the 1 million or more, they're total of 14 new listings, which was an increase of 75%. 600 to 1 million was only down 8.9%, total of 72. 400 to 600,000 new listings was down 18.1% to 172. 300 to 400,000 was down 20.1% to 270. 250 to 300,000 was down 11.7% to 219. 200 to 250,000 was down 36.5% to 193. 150 to 200,000 was down 29.7% to 287, and basically every price point below that was down about a third. Just not a lot of houses going up for sale currently. Lord knows I'm trying, because you can get a phenomenally good price for a house right now if you're looking to sell. All right, so what exactly does all this mean? Where is the market going? If you've been watching these videos for a few months now, you know that I've been describing the market as wild, teeter-tottering tipping point. That's basically still continuing here. On the face of it, if you're listing more houses than are selling, you would expect that the median and average sales price would start to decline, and it's not. Real world, what I can see talking with buyers and sellers, both here and in the Florida market that I'm active in, which has tracked roughly, I mean, it's a different price point, but it tracks roughly with what's going on here. So basically, you have people who want to make a positive life change. They're looking for, a bigger house in a different area. Just because market conditions aren't ideal, people still need to buy a house. Same point in time, people want the best house that they can afford that's within their budget. So you kind of have two different markets. So you have houses that go up for sale, they're in good condition, they're in a good neighborhood. Those are going for premium prices here. Multiple offers are not uncommon. They were for a few months from about September through February. Not a lot of multiple offer situations out there, but that's something that has returned. So you have these like high demand houses, and then you have kind of like everything else that's hanging around for a while. And you kind of have these two competing forces. There's no clear trend that I can point to that says, you know, this is definitely where we're going. This is just kind of what's going on now. Now, the median sales price is coming up, but there are still plenty of houses out there that we can negotiate on, that we can get repairs on or concessions while under contract. But it's not the gold rush mentality that everyone had like 2 or 3 years ago. Everyone's a little cautious for good reason. I mean, you know, interest rates are still high. Economic numbers are not like outstanding. But again, people still have to buy houses. People want to make positive life change. So for the next few months, we're still probably going to hang around this teeter-totter kind of thing because there's no clear breakout happening. Basically expect median home price to continue to climb. Now, probably not going to be adding, you know, 10 or 20,000 every month or two like we were in, you know, late 2021, 2022. We're at a new peak, so we're basically in uncharted territory. We don't have a monumentally shrinking inventory, but we also don't have a lot of houses coming up on the market for sale. It's so weird. So unfortunately, I know you probably tuned into this to get the scoop on what the market's going to do, see if you can plan to time the market in the next 2-3 months. Currently, there is no clear indication of anything. So, you know, basically flip a coin. It could go either way. The truth is though, so I bought this house within the last year myself. So I definitely understand the pain points of what the current state of the market brings. And I can say that even if home prices drop 100,000, which they definitely dropped in November, December, January, you know, when I was looking at these median home prices, I was like, oh man. But even with that, I was still extremely happy with my purchase of this home for 2 reasons. One, you always want to make sure to keep your budget within bounds. You want to make sure that, you know, even if the market turns against you, because the market's going to do whatever it's going to do. Like, there's no controlling what the real estate market's going to do. All you can do is control what you're agreeing to. So make sure that your budget is manageable, even if the real estate market turns against you. And number 2 is buy a home that you're excited about in a location that you love. And if you do those 2 things, it is very hard to be unhappy with whatever the real estate market decides to do. That's basically how I view buying a home to live in. If you're looking for like a ROI, return on investment, or investment property, that's a completely different story. That is very much a numbers game, and making buying decisions based on numbers is a pretty good recipe to being unhappy in the home that you are living in. A happy home and a high ROI, there is not a lot of overlap. So that's basically what's going on in the Dayton real estate market currently. So my name is Kyle Sasser. Thank you so much for tuning into these Dayton Metro statistics. Hope you found some of it helpful. If you would like to experience the way real estate should be, please reach out to me. You can give me a call at 937-907-6777. There's also a contact form down below if you'd like to schedule a call for the time that works for you. You can do that down below. If you have some questions, if you would want to check out some specific neighborhoods, have some questions about first-time buyer programs, anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me below. It is literally my job to answer your questions. That is literally what the job is. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.